Right, a full restart has just been initiated because the red lights failed to go out when we went racing. But here is your starting grid for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Martin van Leeuwen and David Outleichner on the front row. Philip Moitzi and Axel Saliala, row 2. Patrick Snolls, Locke Madison, Peter Bezel, row 3. Enzo Boll and Carl Gustav Borgard, row 4, with Maxime Sechurko and Nicolas Guillaume Uno Mas on row number 5, completing the top 10. Then we have Dennis Thum, Leonardo Baccaglini, Martin Henkel Mortensen, Carl Klebor, Yannick Nielsen, Ville Villiainen, Victor Frostbay, Maxime Becker, Rasmus Vanderbilt, then we've got Jeriko Kalainen, Manuel Tenchat, Sebastian Schul, Igor Mukin, Ilias Kaliakmanis, Tony Hogg, Jakob Bezel, Christophe Capitan. And we've got Camille Kubera, Martina Stankiewicz, Maxime Dirix, Nicolas Picot, and Jules Cousin rounding out the 32 strong grid. But now Van Leeuwen keeping a hold of the race lead. So Philip Moitzi was trying to do an overtake round the outside of Martin Van Leeuwen. David Outleichner, Patrick Snolls, Locke Mellis. Rounding out the top 4 positions. Enzo Boll in 6. Looks like Peter Bezel is in 5th position at the moment. Axel Saliala has dropped a few places after the start. And there is the move from Peter Bezel on Patrick Snolls, Locke Mellis, and they tangle! Locke Mellis around, he clatters back into Bezel. And he's absolutely furious as the Latvian, straight out of the car, slapped his helmet as if to say, what on earth were you thinking? So that drops them right to the back end of the field, and they both get back going again. But unfortunately, both of them will not be contesting for the race victory. So Van Leeuwen leads the way. Philip Moitzi for Austria in 2nd. David Outleichner representing Poland rounds out the top 3. 4th, Enzo Boll. 5th, Axel Saliala. 6th, Carl Gustav Borgard. Maxime Sechurko up to 7th. And there is, that was the 4:09. Sebastian Schul being disposed of very quickly by Martina Stankiewicz as Outleichner goes toe-to-toe, side-by-side with Philip Moitzi on the run down the start-finish straight and gets back through past the Austrian for 2nd position. Dennis Thum currently holding on to the DD2 Masters class lead in 11th position, but he's got Martin Henkel Mortensen just behind him. There's a touch, and that was between the 4:24 of Leonardo Baccaglini and the 4:35 of Lithuania's Maxime Sechurko. So Patrick Snolls, Locke Mellis, there was a bit of a move there. That was Moitzi being passed by Enzo Boll through Cafe Corner at turn number 10. Axel Saliala, and there is Carl Gustav Borgard waiting in the wings. And then Nicolas Guillaume has made up a position or 2. He's got up to 7th past Maxime Sechurko. Saliala was trying to get through on Philip Moitzi, but that's Carl Gustav Borgard round the outside of the fin through turns 3 and 4 and gets the move done by turn 5. Shuts the door before the fin can respond through turn number 6. So Martin van Leeuwen leads the way. But it's going to be a dogfight between these two. They've been battling all weekend long. And that is Nicolas Picot on the top of Carl Clevel, who's hobbling away with his front Nassau. And that is going to be a yellow flag and Marshall post 7. So that just goes to show that a bit too much overzealousness can cause a little bit of a problem. It was just over 2.5 tenths of a second between Outleichner in second place and Van Leeuwen in the lead. So we've also got the green flag, the green digi flag flashing at Marshall post 1. There is Dennis Toom, not too far behind Martin Henkel Mortensen, and there's the change for the race lead. Outleichner through on Van Leeuwen from the Netherlands for the race lead overall, who is 0.16 behind. So it is going to be between these two for the race victory. But I'm going to say this, with 8 minutes and 48 seconds still to go on the timer, don't count out Enzo Bol. He's only 1.1 seconds behind this duo, and he may be catching them. Outleichner, just the previous lap, posted the fastest lap of the race, 53.962, as Axel Sarniala, I don't know if he suddenly just slowed for a second there, coming out of turn 12 because Carl Gustav Borgard was ahead of him. And there is a move up the inside. That was on Nicolas Guillaume. That was possibly more than likely Lithuania's Maxim Suchurko, which it is the case. Ville Villainen and Martin Henkel Mortensen round out the top 10. Manuel Tenchet has got Leonardo Baccaglini not too far behind. But Tenchet is also battling away with Michael Becker, who has made some moves up the order. And what's more, despite a cracked chassis, that comp car is still functioning. And he is, get this, 1.6 seconds off of Dennis Toom. Manuel Tenchet, fastest driver now out there, 53.992. But Outleichner responds with the fastest lap of his own. Oh, a slight side swipe there, courtesy of Axel Sarniala, and nearly put the frighteners on one Carl Gustav Borgard. He's now got Maxim Suchurko from Lithuania, one of the youngest drivers in this field. And Suchurko is only 14. Baccaglini, 15. Enzo Bol is 14. Ilyas Kaliakmanis, the young Greek driver, 15. Eldest driver overall in this field is Tony Hogg at 57. But they do say that age is but a number. Tony's currently in 27th position. Enzo Bol was 0.87 of a second behind Martin van Leeuwen. And now there is a time penalty, and it's going to the 5.17 of Nicolas Picot. 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. And that is going to cause the Frenchman to drop to the back end of the field. And there is Manuel Tenchet once again. And he is currently in 13th position, battling away with Victor Frostbay from Denmark. Six minutes still remain in this race. 8 minutes completed. And Outleichner has pulled a gap of just over 0.3 of a second on the previous tour. Lap number 9 now completed, lap 10 underway. Enzo Bol now has the fastest lap. And it's a 53.819. He was exactly a tenth to the decimal point quicker than Van Leeuwen on lap number 8. Michael Becker, in the meantime, has dropped to 16th position. There is Axel Sarniala and Philip Moitzi. They're battling over 4th place. So at the moment, Altlechner leads. Van Leeuwen in 2nd, Bol in 3rd, Moitzi, Sarniala, Carl Gustav Borgaard, Maxim Sachurko, Ville Viljainen, Martin Henkel Mortensen, Dennis Thum now up to 10th. Ahead of Victor Frostbay, Manuel Atenchat, and Nicolas Guillaume, who drops to 13th. Jakob Bezel and Leonardo Baccaglini ran out the top 15. Michael Becker, Yannick Nielsen, Rasmus van der Wel, Christophe Capitain, and Jules Cousin ran out the top 20. Personal best from Philip Moitzi on that last lap, 54.211. But Axel Sarniala was just over a 10th of a second quicker. It's a real shame for Carl Clebot. I hope he's all okay. Looks like he was limping with his left leg coming out of the kart with the Nassau panel upside down and away from the steering column. So 4 minutes to go, 10 minutes completed, and David Altlechner is controlling the pace. Martin Van Leeuwen has just put in his personal best as there was a second and a half. That was Maxim Sachurko on Ville Viljainen. Now there's Martin Henkel Mortensen, Dennis Thum, and with them is the 414 of Denmark's Victor Frostbay. Now a move from, well, Victor Frostbay kept ahead of Manuel Tencha as Maxim Sachurko, the youngster from Lithuania, showing that he is just as capable in this class and able to battle at the sharp end of the grid. Meanwhile, Martin Van Leeuwen has just closed the gap by about 7/100ths of a second to David Altlechner to just 0.24. Enzo Bol will have to settle for 3rd place. But the battle for 4th is raging onward like a good one because Axel Sarniala now ahead of Carl Gustav Borgaard as Philip Moitzi drops to 6th place. Sarniala went on the defensive, and there is the move from Moitzi up the inside through into the entry of turn 8. Great timing and reaction from Moitzi from Austria. Now takes 5th place back off of the Dane. Lap number 13 completed, 2 minutes and 12 plus an additional lap still to go on the timer to conclude the race weekend. As all, moment there for Yannick Nielsen and Maxim Dirix. And they were battling over the top, the latter part position in the top 16. And both of them have just lost a handful of positions. Yannick Nielsen to 22nd, Maxim Dirix down to 23rd place, allowing the likes of Rasmus van der Bo, Jules Cousin, Michael Becker, Martinas Stankiewicz, and Sebastian Schue and Ilias Kaliakmanis through. And Stankiewicz is one position right. I'm just having a look at what's happening in DD2 Masters. Christophe Capitain's race has ended early, but the battle for 2nd is going to start intensifying between Martinas Stankiewicz and Michael Becker. And that's 18th. So Dennis Thum is away and clear. However, it's not so clean, it's not so cut and dry between David Altlechner and Martin Van Leeuwen, as we will have this plus 2 additional laps of racing still to go. We'll have a total of 17 laps. We're on lap number 15. Yannick Nielsen might be calling time on his race day as well. Capitain, a confirmed retirement. Down to 29 drivers we go. But now, lap 15 gets completed. David Altlechner and Martin Van Leeuwen have kept line astern for the majority of this race the moment they hit the front. The final 2 laps will decide who will be the winner of the final. Yannick Nielsen retires from the race on lap number 13. As our two overall race leaders go down the Europalan for the penultimate time. The timer expires, and now Van Leeuwen went for the move. He nearly let the door open for Altleichner, so bang on the timer expiring, Van Leeuwen launched it and got through. So one more lap remains to close out the weekend, and Altleichner and Van Leeuwen now lock horns, now go into battle. Altleichner looks to the inside, out of the final corner. Last lap board of the weekend. And Enzo Bol is slightly closing, but Altleichner is going to have 2, maybe 3 chances at a push. If he can get into turn 6, turn 7, and then the final corner. Altleichner is sizing up Van Leeuwen. Van Leeuwen responding accordingly. Out of turn 6, Altleichner looks to the right. They tangle wheels. Altleichner fighting it, and he gets through at turn 7. Puts the boot on the other foot, so to speak, but then runs wide. Van Leeuwen through back at turn 8, and Enzo Bol is now in contention for the victory in the final with just 3 more corners remaining. Enzo Bol looking to get the over-under on Altleichner, but I think Van Leeuwen capitalised on Altleichner's slight mistake out of turn number 8. Out of the final corner, it's going to be a run to the line. Enzo Bol's going to go for it. Who's going to win? It's going to be Van Leeuwen. Enzo Bol takes second. Third for David Altleichner. Top 3 covered by 0.209 of a second. And, oh, dearie me. Not a way for Martin Henkel Mortensen's weekend to end. Yards from the checkered flag after contact with Victor Frostbay. And, well, thank you for being with us, Martin Henkel Mortensen. It's been a pleasure watching him race again, but not the way any of us would have wanted to have seen his weekend end. Just literally 5 grid rows from the checkered. But Martin Van Leeuwen takes the final race victory of the weekend in DD2 by 0.145 ahead of Enzo Bol. David Altleichner rounds out the top 3. Axel Sarniala, Philip Moitzi, Carl Gustav Borgard, Maxim Sechurko, Vili Viliainen, Manuel Tencha, Leonardo Baccaglini, Jakub Bezel. Then we had Nicolas Guillaume, Rasmus Vendelbo, Jules Cousin, and, oh, well, Dennis Thum had a drama. So, Martinas Stankiewicz is the winner in DD2 Masters, provisionally in 15th, ahead of Michael Becker, Sebastian Shaw, Ilias Kaliakmanis, Igor Mukin, Jericho Kalainen ran at the top 20. Nicolas Picot finishes 21st, but has a 5-second time penalty coming his way for contact. That was with Carl Klebor. Tony Hogg finishes 22nd ahead of Camille Kubera, Maxim Didix, Patrick Knowles, Lockmelis, Peter Bezel, Victor Frostbay, and Martin Henkel Mortensen declared as a that was a retirement for the 2018 DD2 champion. Dennis Thum out with 2 laps to go. Yannick Nielsen, Christophe Capitain, and Carl Klebor out of the race. The 39th and final race of the Rotax Max Challenge Euro Trophy would see a total of 32 DD2 and DD2 Masters drivers go into action for one final time. Several drivers again were in the mix, such as Philip Moitzi, Patrick Knowles, Lockmelis, and the drivers on the front row, David Altleichner and Martin Van Leeuwen. After an initial problem with the lights, we got underway with the second time of asking, as the revs rose and the final race got underway here at the Home of Champions. Philip Moitzi did a great job in slingshotting past David Altleichner as he tried to go round the outside of Martin Van Leeuwen to take the lead early. However, it was to no avail. Then we would have the 4-2-2, one of the Bezel brothers, having this tangle with Patrick Knowles, Lockmelis, and then they both came into contact once again. And then the gesticulation from Lockmelis saying, "What on earth was that?" And both of them rejoined the race, finishing 26th and 27th respectively. A moment there for the 4-3-5 of Maxim Sochurko, who had Leonardo Baccaglini to his inside, along with the 4-9-1 of Nicolas Guillaume. Going into turn number 7, it got a bit too close for comfort, and then Baccaglini found himself going off of the circuit and grass tracking on towards the middle part of turn number 8. Then this moment for Carl Clebot and Nicolas Picot, with Picot riding over the front of the Belgians' Nassau panel, tearing it off the steering column, and Carl Clebot walking away with a slight limp with his left leg. Outlechner would then go on a full-blown assault and get past Martin van Leeuwen to take the race lead into turn number 2. And there was this scare for Carl Gustav Borgaard as Axel Sarniala tried to close the door. And then this moment here, that was the 408 getting through. And that was on Nicolas Guillaume. Martin Henkel Mortensen was also in the top 10, battling away with class leader in DD2 Masters, Dennis Thum, Maxim Sochurko, and also the 408 of Ville Villainen. And there was this brazen move from Philip Moitzi, sending it up the inside, going through into turn number 8 on Carl Gustav Borgaard. Then this moment caused dramas for both the 407 of Yannick Nielsen, who would later retire, and Maxime Drix, who would end up finishing in 25th position at the checkered flag. But then, with 2 laps to go, Van Leeuwen, when the clock struck 0, struck at the right moment, getting past David Outlechner through turn number 8. That's turn number 7. The favour was returned 1 lap later, as Outlechner managed to get through, but then ran wide through turn number 8, allowing the window of opportunity for Martin van Leeuwen. Little did they know, or little did they realise, that Enzo Bol had closed in on them and was also in contention for the race victory. Coming down to the final corner of the final lap, Outlechner tried to send one up the inside of Leeuwen, who went sideways. Enzo Bol looked to get past the pair of them and make it a 3-way drag to the finish, but it would be Martin van Leeuwen that would win the race by just under a 1/10.5, with Enzo Bol and David Outlechner rounding out the top 3. Martinas Stankiewicz, however, would become your provisional DD2 Masters class winner, finishing all the way down in 16th position as Martin Henkel Mortensen span around and accidentally collected Victor Frostbay coming out of the final corner. Whether there was contact with Manuel Tencher, not 100% sure. Victor Frostbay would cross the line with a very bent and broken rear axle, with the right rear wheel going up and down like a yo-yo. It's been a pleasure having our DD2 champion from 2018 back with us. Not the way he would have wanted to end the race weekend, just